And it's been housed here for almost 40 years. So very briefly, the building has a set of lecture venues. At the bottom floor, it's a 2-story building. There are lecture venues in the bottom floor. There are 2 lecture venues here, and there's another lecture venue directly above this theatre, and it's called the Moot Court, and it's configured to have moot adjudications in that. So we have lecture venues that can accommodate about 150 students, where the students are divided into groups. We also have seminar venues in the bottom floor where we have small group discussions, tutorial venues. Now, apart from the lecture venues, all the academic staff are housed in their offices in the floors above, and there's also an administrative hub in the form of the school office where our school operations manager sits and some of the administrative staff. But what's also very nice about this building is that we also house the GMJ Sweeney Law Library just on the side. Unfortunately, I couldn't take you on a guided tour because we would need to have access control, but your students will have access control there. About the law library, it actually houses 37,000 books, law books, and has one of the largest collections of law books in the country, and these are things that facilities that your students are going to be engaging with. But quite apart from the actual physical books that are there, some date from as far back as 1612, and we get the latest periodicals, law journals that are put up. Apart from the physical books that are there, we also have online access to some of the world's leading periodicals and leading databases. So you have databases that can attract journal articles and law reports from all across the world. So you literally have access to millions of legal resources, literally in the millions. If you're typing, you can have access to easy databases that you can just type keywords and you can generate the proper law sources. So it's excellent for doing postgraduate studies and particularly for engaging in research as well. Quite apart from the 37,000 books that are housed in the law library, there's adequate facilities for students to sit and actually study. There are adequate provisions on 2 floors for tables and chairs, and there is a dedicated LAN or a computer room that houses about 50 students, that can house about 50 students at that point. So that in a nutshell is the facilities in the building itself. And of course there's this theatre, which from time to time you might have a lunch hour music concert that you might want to take a break from your studies, and in the music schools occasionally host that. And this venue also hosts the Ellie Newman Moot Court Final once a year, where the top performing students in the moot actually, we transform this into a courtroom, and actual judges preside over that event, and the members of the public, the legal profession, the students and the parents get to view that. So those are the facilities that we offer. The second thing that I wish to speak about is the orientation program. You would have received some notification that it would take place this Friday, the coming Friday, the 1st of February. Now, the program is, I oversee the program, but I also have a team of my senior students that are involved heavily in that program. I have master students, I have tutors, and I have third-year students that are involved in compiling this program. It takes place over 4 sessions from 9 o'clock in the morning till 3 o'clock in the afternoon. The first session is we just tell you about, we do a little welcome, and we do a little presentation firstly about how to deal with the gap between high school and university. Right? We tell you about the very basic things that you need to know to deal with that transition from high school to university. We then have a couple of presentations. How to survive your first week on campus. Those are things we can tell you. How do you get your timetable sorted out? How do you get your student card sorted out? How do you get an email address? How do you log on to the internet? How can I configure my phone to the university Wi-Fi? So we help the student with all of those. We also then provide details of how they can get special training, particularly for those who are technologically challenged or have had no access to computer resources before. We will have specialist trainers from the ICT department that would assist with that. So we got a presentation getting through your first week. We then have another presentation getting through your first month. So we tell you by your first month you should be sitting in lectures. We'll tell you what's the difference between a lecture and a tutorial. How do you configure your timetable? Where should you be at that point? We'll do another presentation on how to survive your first year and to then survive the rest of your 3 years afterward as a law student. So the presentation would help you through that entire thing, and our students will give you the qualities that are needed from their experience on how to be a good law student. And lastly, we'll have another session on all the support services that are there. We will do a presentation on all the support services. And the last thing we will do is we will have all the clubs and societies, like the debating union, the Students for Law and Social Justice. They will do all of their presentations. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the overview of the orientation. If anybody wants to have a chat to me afterwards pertaining to that, you're most welcome. We will also take your children on a guided tour of the university, take them to all the lecture venues and the important things. Thank you so much.